in Parliament and the company invites companies to explore investment opportunities. EDB shows to facilitate export-oriented industries amid COVID outbreak. Policy rates kept unchanged in support of economic recovery, central bank governor says. News in detail. The contentious Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill was passed by Parliament last Thursday, with 149 MPs voting in favour and 59 voting against. Following the approval, the project company urged to local and international investors to explore about investment opportunities available at Port City Colombo and to be a part of South Asia's future city. The Parliament passed a significant bill paving the way for Colombo to become a major global financial and services centre for South Asia. The legislation creates a stable policy framework that is supported by effective administrative processes and internationally competitive incentives. The debate on the bill began on Wednesday, and the government announced many suggested revisions in accordance with the Supreme Court's decision on the bill, which was unveiled in Parliament on Tuesday. The government introduced over 20 revisions to the bill in response to the Supreme Court's recommendation that it be enacted with a simple majority. In a statement, Port City Colombo, the project company's managing director, Jiang Huliang, praised the Sri Lankan government's prompt and smart decision to adopt the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill. According to the new law, Port City Colombo will be an international, commercial and multi-services special economic zone operating in any recognized foreign currency. The experts believe that this would bridge the gap between Dubai and Singapore, becoming the most sought-after centre with sophisticated infrastructure. Director Sales and Marketing for Port City Colombo, Yamuna Jayaratne, states that Sri Lanka already enjoys a 70 to 80% advantage in the cost of doing business in comparison with established and mature services hubs such as Hong Kong and Dubai. She further emphasized that enacting the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Bill will help to increase this cost advantage while also addressing investment concerns including effective and fast dispute settlement and administrative efficiency in terms of approvals. The Hambantota International Port saw a significant increase in their roller and ro-ro figures during the first 4 months of 2021. Officials at the Hambantota International Port reveal that the April estimate surpassed the port's expanded ro-ro volumes in December 2020 and January 2021.
The port received 193,690 vehicles for transshipment in the first 4 months of this year compared to 118,872 vehicles in the same time frame last year. Last month, the port transshipped 62,736 vehicles, making it the largest number of RORO it has ever seen in a month. The main ports of loading, roll-on roll-off cargo arriving for the transshipment at Hambantota International Port are Chennai, Mundra, Eno in India and Gunsan, South Korea, while the main ports of discharge are Durban, South Africa, Veracruz of Mexico, San Antonio of United States, Rotterdam of Netherlands and Le Havre of France. Hyundai Glovis, Klein, Zim, Seals Japan and Eastern Car Carrier Lines are only a few of the major shipping lines that operate to and from Hambantota Port. Chief Operation Officer of Hambantota International Port Group, Tissa Wickramasinghe, says that although the global export demand appears to be fluctuating, it is promising to see the Hambantota International Port being chosen as the port of choice by major shipping lines, and the numbers keep increasing. The port's activities are governed by the government's and port authorities' stringent COVID-19 regulations.
The Sri Lankan government debt is leading gains in Asian dollar bonds this year with the assistance of Chinese financing facility, making it the best Asian country's US currency debt in 2021. According to the Bloomberg Barclays Index report released recently, Sri Lankan notes have returned 15% this year, bringing their year-to-date returns to 25%.
Sri Lanka secured a $1.5 billion currency swap line from China in March, easing concerns about the government's ability to fund its debt after it was downgraded to distress status by S&P Global Ratings and Moody's Investors Service in 2020. The nation, which is grappling with resurgence of COVID-19 cases that is threatening its tourism industry, has at least $2.5 billion in dollar notes maturing before the end of July 2020, including a $1 billion bond maturing in less than 2 months. According to Bloomberg statistics, the yield on that debt protection is about 16%, while a July 2022 note offers 20%. Acomia SGR, an Italian investment manager that increased its holdings of the country's debt securities last quarter, believes the bonds will continue to deliver competitive returns even though much of the profits have already been realized. A fixed income strategist in Milan, Piero Zingari, who manages 2.9 billion euros in Acomia reserves, said that given the recent change in short-term liquidity conditions in Sri Lanka, the company will tend to keep the shorter-end tenors.
Purchasing managers' indices for both manufacturing and services operations in Sri Lanka contracted in April 2021 after the seasonal holidays and the advent of the third coronavirus wave. According to the Sri Lanka's Purchasing Managers Index, the manufacturing sector contracted to 44.3 in April 2021, down from 22.7 index points from March 2021.
This was mostly attributed to substantial reductions in the sub-indices production, new orders, stock of purchases and jobs, which contrasted with a significant expansion seen in March. With the end of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year seasonal demand, new orders decreased significantly, especially in the food and beverage manufacturing sector. In April 2021, the supplies delivery time increased at a faster pace owing to delays in receiving imported and local materials. Furthermore, several respondents stated that freight prices remained high, raising the cost of imported raw materials, which negatively impacted their profit margins. The manufacturers warned that the confusion surrounding the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic would stymie the country's manufacturing activities. As a result, average industrial activity forecasts for the next 3 months have been declined dramatically from the previous month. The services PMI dropped to 48.9 in April 2021, reversing the sector's 4-month growth pattern. Deteriorations in new markets, economic activities, jobs and operations expectations fueled the slowdown. The number of new companies and business activities in the services sector decreased in April 2021, especially in the transportation, education and insurance subsectors. Due to localized lockdowns and the development of roster programs despite the uptick in COVID-19 incidents, job backlogs rose in April 2021 after decreasing for 2 months. Moreover, the expectations for market activities for the next 3 months declined in April 2021 after increasing for 5 months in a row, reflecting the negative sentiments sparked by the outbreak of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country.
We'll be back with more news after this short break.
State of Business, sponsored by අතන මෙතන හැමතැනම තියෙන සේවාවන් එක තැනකට ගෙන MySLT app දැන් සියලුම SLT Mobitel සේවාවන් වලට MySLT app හරහා එකවර පිවිසීමේ හැකියාව. SLT Mobitel එකම එක සැබඳියාව.
IWS Aviation.
Businesses in this day and age require the best communication solutions to be connected anywhere and anytime. Our technologically advanced long-distance radio devices operate even in the most challenging and harsh environments, designed for dust, water, and drop resistance. The push-to-talk function is designed for convenience, ensuring clear and uninterrupted communication between multiple devices. Dynacom Engineering, a subsidiary of IWS Holdings, is a licensed service provider of the best push-to-talk long-distance wireless communication systems, approved by the TRC and the Ministry of Defense.
Welcome back after the break. The Export Development Board says that it has made arrangements to facilitate export-oriented industries based on the circulars issued by the health authorities to continue operations during the lockdown of specific areas and interprovincial travel restrictions subject to stringent health regulations.
EDB says that export-oriented industries are allowed to function with a biosecure bubble by ensuring secure transport and accommodation for workers under the close supervision of the Area Medical Officer of Health, while agricultural activities are permitted normal operations with strong compliance to DREAM concept. The export enterprises in lockdown areas have also been given permission to function. However, employees residing in lockdown areas shall not report to work. The companies are advised to adhere to the relevant revised operational guidelines on preparedness and response for COVID-19 outbreak for the manufacturing apparel industry and other health guidelines pertaining to the functionality of the enterprises issued by the Ministry of Health. EDB also adds that although travelling between provinces is restricted till the 31st of May, transport of cargo to and from the respective ports is allowed during the period which has imposed with quarantine travel restrictions. The guidelines and instructions that need to be followed by the enterprises during this period can be obtained from the EDB website www.srilankabusiness.com and by contacting the EDB help desk via 011 2300 710 or by emailing helpdesk@edb.gov.lk. The EDB has taken steps to strengthen its help desk in order to assist exporters during this difficult time period by introducing 14 focal points for the relevant export product, service sectors, and their contact numbers are available on the EDB website. All relevant government authorities, including the police and the tri-forces, have pledged their continued support for the smooth operations of the export sector.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka decided to maintain the 4.5% of standing deposit facility rate and the 5.5% of standing lending facility rate at their current levels. The board made this decision at its meeting last week after carefully evaluating the macroeconomic conditions and potential developments on the domestic and global fronts. In light of the existing low inflation environment and well-anchored inflation forecasts, as well as the fresh challenges faced by the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, the board is committed to preserving its current accommodative monetary policy posture to help the economy's long-term recovery. According to the central bank, the Sri Lankan economy, which showed signs of progress in the second half of 2020 and early 2021, is now experiencing fresh disruptions as a result of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The recent increase in the global spread of COVID-19 may have an impact on the tourism industry's recovery, while also presenting new challenges to the external market. So far, in 2021, the Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated by 6.6% against the US dollar, and the extension of current controls on non-essential imports and some foreign exchange outflows is likely to help ease the burden. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka emphasized that the market interest rates have fallen to record lows across the board, reflecting the gradual spread of the central bank's monetary policy easing measures thus far. While the inflation has also remained strong from the beginning of 2021 because of well-anchored inflation expectations and poor aggregate demand. The effect of fiscal and monetary stimulus policies is likely to place some upward pressure on inflation over the medium term, given forecast improvements in aggregate demand conditions. Furthermore, the report shows that the government and the central bank have taken measures to secure foreign exchange inflows with additional backup arrangements in place to raise the trust in the Sri Lankan economy. The country's external market had a mixed result in March 2021, with the trade deficit widening for the first time in a year as imports hit a 3-year monthly high. According to the most recent data released by the central bank, this has resulted in a gain of over $1 billion in export earnings and a strong inflow of worker remittances. The study shows that the trade deficit expanded in March 2021 for the first time since April 2020. In March, all exports and imports were considerably higher than in March 2020 and February 2021. However, remittances from staff increased slowly and the tourism industry began to rebound, though at a glacial rate. Foreign investment in the government securities market and the Colombo Stock Exchange all continue to report marginal net outflows in March 2021. During the month, the Sri Lankan rupee fell against the US dollar, showing seasonal demand for imports. However, the central bank consumed foreign exchange on a net basis during the month, mostly due to regulatory steps in effect until mid-March in order to improve the gross official reserve balance. The trade deficit expanded year-on-year in March 2021 for the first time since April 2020 to $832 million relative to a deficit of $549 million in March 2020 and $572 million in February 2021. Moreover, earnings from merchandise exports surged by 66.7% to $1,094 million in March 2021, up from $656 million in March 2020 during the first wave of the COVID-19. Export earnings increased significantly in March relative to February 2021, bringing export earnings up to pre-pandemic peaks. Despite the continuation of imports restrictions, commodity import spending rises sharply in March 2021 to $1,926 million, the highest monthly import volume since March 2018. The Parliamentary Committee on Public Finance was briefed on the development and proposals of the multi-billion-dollar Colombo Port City project recently. The Board of Investment of Sri Lanka announced at the meeting that the first project of the Colombo Port City would be launched with an investment of $100 billion and will be executed in 2 phases.
The Committee on Public Finance, chaired by Parliamentarian Minister Anrupiya Darshana Yapa, told the Board of Investment that ventures with a variety of tax cuts would directly benefit the country's economy. Accordingly, the first phase of the development of this international financial centre will consist of an high-grade office tower, 2 high-end residential buildings and a shopping podium, which is expected to be finished in 2025. The Strategic Development Projects Act allows for tax breaks and the hiring of foreign employees as a part of the program. However, 75% of unskilled staff, technical workers and higher-level employees, on the other hand, would be hired locally. In addition, the Committee on Public Finance gave its approval to the Ceylon Tyre Manufacturing Company, which will begin exporting high-quality tyres in July on the grounds of the Hambantota International Port. After 36 months, this project is scheduled to begin its commercial operations. Although this project would benefit from substantial tax relief, BOI Chairman Dr. Sanjay Mohottala claimed at the meeting that the benefits would accrue to local rubber planters. State Minister Susil Premajayantha drew the committee's attention to the high prices of Sri Lankan domestic goods in comparison to those in other countries, and Minister Vidura Wickramanayaka claimed that the tax breaks given to foreign firms should also be given to local businesses.
With that, we will be winding up for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Until then, take care and good night.